We saw what it looked like on the field. It was really, really good. But how did these Vols grade out per Pro Football Focus? The stats that matter. We'll spend our final day looking back at the Chattanooga win, plus what did Josh Huepel have to say in his Monday press conference. NC State week coming up. We'll flip the script tomorrow. This is your Tuesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Thank you so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every single weekday morning. It's your one-stop shop for everything you need Tennessee football related here now that the football season's actually begun. Every day, or today is your show, we'll get into plenty of your mailbag questions in segments 2 and 3, but gonna hear from Josh Huepel, go over some stats from that Chattanooga win, all that and more on a fun-filled Tuesday show. Big shout out to Ultimate GM for being a part of the show. It's a brand new mobile game that's completely free, no ads, 100% playable offline. Put in my promo code LOCKEDONCFB in the App Store to get a free boost to your program. Begin your coaching legacy today with Ultimate GM. So we got a fun show coming up here today, and I wanted to start it off with some of the highlights from Josh Huepel in his Monday press conference. Josh Huepel's a good coach. Josh Huepel is good with the media, but Josh Huepel is not a coach that's ever going to be great in front of a microphone. He is just not great. He's not going to give up a lot of information. He's not going to talk a lot. He's literally just doing it so he doesn't get fined, Marshawn Lynch style. So these aren't great things, but wanted to get a couple things that he had to say. An early stout on NC State, and then, of course, what he thought about Nico Iamaleava's performance, the SEC Freshman of the Week, Nico Iamaleava. But first, the early scout on Tennessee's opponent this week in NC State.
Players were in this morning, got an opportunity to learn from the film, and got a big football game this week. Really good opponent that we're playing. They play all three phases of the game really well together. Defensively, they've been really good, and it'll be a great test for us up front and on the perimeter and at quarterback. And offensively, they got a really experienced quarterback, got playmakers around him, and their special teams are really good too. So huge test for us this week, one that we're excited about. Traveling a few hours down the road, look forward to seeing Vol Nation show up, and be a great contest.
So some coach talk there on NC State, great offense, aggressive defense, good quarterback, all that type of stuff. But I went ahead and started doing my NC State prep, and I'll look back on these notes that I've had throughout the week. Of course, you know about Grayson McCall, transfer from Coastal Carolina. You know that they've added tight end Justin Jolly. You know that they've added Noah Rogers. You know that they had the ACC Rookie of the Year and Kevin Concepcion, who had a really good day against Western Carolina on Thursday. Defensively, they lost a really good linebacker, arguably the best linebacker in the country last year. They lost a couple other guys, but defensively they were really good last year. And of course, NC State started 4-3 last year, ended on a 5-1 run, finished the season 9-4. Did lose the bowl game, the Pop-Tart Bowl, to Kansas State, but NC State on paper, pretty good ball club. Now, very underwhelming in Week 1 against Western Carolina, a fellow FCS opponent, just like the Mocs were for Tennessee. That does not mean that I think that does not mean that I think NC State's going to just be awful. I think that's going to be a great challenge for Tennessee. I'll stand by my pick. I still think Tennessee wins this thing by 2 scores. I do. I'm not coming off that whatsoever. But I still think that there's players here that are really good for NC State, and I think it'll be a great challenge for Tennessee. But we'll continue on that as the week goes on. Ultimately, though, Josh Huepel ready to flip that script. He's told the players time to flip it, learn from it, watch the tape. Now get out on the practice field on Tuesday morning and start putting action towards the Wolfpack at NC State. Question about Nico Iamaleava, how he thought that Nico played, and his reaction to Nico getting SEC Freshman of the Week, and Josh Huepel's reaction totally is about what you'd expect. Here's what he had to say about his redshirt freshman quarterback.
Yeah, I thought he was extremely accurate, had his eyes in the right spot. Did a really good job of hitting windows, and that's in between defenders and the second level, and over-under balls between the second and third level. Means that he played well in Week 1 and had an opportunity to grow, learn from the tape today, and get ready for a really good football team this week. Young quarterback, going to continue to get better. Great test this week that we have coming up in NC State.
It means he played well in Week 1, and Week 1 doesn't matter anymore because it's over with. And so that's a very coach speak answer. But Again, a lot of things to like about Nico Iamaleava. Was he absolutely perfect? No, he was not, but he was pretty dang near really, really good against Chattanooga. And of course, the challenge is only going to get steeper and steeper. All right, so in years past, I had Pro Football Focus Wednesday. Going to try to focus it more on Tuesdays now, but kind of break it down into the stuff that really matters. I'm not going to go through and tell you, all the grades and who graded out the highest. I'll give you a couple of the top ones according to Pro Football Focus. And again, Pro Football Focus, it is something. It is certainly not everything. You take this and you add it to your analysis. I like to use it on terms of individual matchups and snap counts and all that. Offensively, the guys that graded out the highest, Dylan Sampson, 28 snaps. He graded out at 89.3, which I've got if you're watching on YouTube right now. You see the grading scale. The 90 to 99 is elite. Very good is 80 to 89. Above average is 70 to 79. Average starter is 60 to 69. Below average starter, 50 to 59. And if you're below 50, that is considered a backup level player. So Dylan Sampson led the way at 89%. Nico Iamaleava, 54 reps, 87 was his grade, 87%. Dante Thornton, 18 reps, 85 was his grade. Cooper Mays, 54 reps, 79 was his grade. Deshaun Bishop, 15 reps, 75 was his grade. So I'm not going to go all the way down there, but just to kind of give you a look at some of the highlights there. Credit to Josh Huepel. I don't think I've mentioned this on the postcast or Monday show or anything. Tennessee was up 45-0 at halftime. There's no reason for Nico to come out and start the second half. There's no reason for Cooper Mays and Lance Hurd and Javonte Spraggins and John Campbell and the rest of the ones to come out and start the second half. The old football adage is, you need to come out there and play that first series of the second half to prove that you can come out and have your mind right. And no, it doesn't matter. I mean, it literally doesn't matter. I thought it was stupid when I played football. I think it's stupid when I cover the media. And in years past, it didn't matter what it was. Josh Huepel was putting those ones back out there to begin the second half, but he didn't this week. And I think that's a good move because you literally never know what can happen. Look at the passing chart for Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava. I mentioned this a couple of different times, but he was 10 for 10 beyond the line of scrimmage between the numbers. Really, really good numbers. He was 1 of 1 outside left, 20 yards down the field to the left. He was 0 for 2 outside the numbers down the right field, 20 yards or more. That was the only place on the field that he really didn't have much success. He was 3 for 3 middle of the field, 10 to 20 yards, 2 for 2, 10 to 20 yards on the right hash. He was really, really good. He was kept clean on 90% of his dropbacks. He was under pressure on 9.7% of his dropbacks. He was blitzed 19.4% of the time, and his grades did really, really well. 92% when kept clean, 88% when not blitzed, 84% when he was blitzed. He was only pressured on 3 dropbacks, and according to this Pro Football Focus grade, he did have a grade of 52.9, but it's such a small sample size, it's not really worth looking too far down deep into, in my opinion. Let's look at the pass blocking grades. Javonte Spraggins led the way pass blocking grades on the offensive line, 82%. Jackson Lampley, 82%. Cooper Mays, 81%. Dane Davis, 78%. William Satterwhite, who got 13 pass blocking reps. He played 22 snaps overall. I thought that was crucial. 78%. Lance Hurd, 78%. Let's see here. Larry Johnson gave up a sack. That was not good. Let's see here. Yeah, and according to Pro Football Focus, that's the only hurry of the day for Nico Iamaleava. Run blocking on the offensive line. Cooper Mays, 75%. Andre Carrick, 74%. Javonte Spraggins, 71%. Larry Johnson, 67%. John Campbell, 64%. So a little bit of a look right there. Defensively, off the top, guys that stood out, Tyree West had the best overall grade at 88.2%. Keenan Peely, only 15 reps, 81%. Jalen Smith, linebacker, 23 snaps, 75%. I thought that was good. Jacoby Thomas, 23 reps at safety. He had 74%, so a couple of the highlights there. I think it's important to remember James Pearce, we'll get to later in the show. He only played 10 snaps, didn't play at all in the second half. He's fine, but they were very much limiting their star players. Keenan Peely, only 15 reps. Caleb Herring had the most snaps of any defensive lineman, and that was just, 20, 21, something like that. Tennessee rotated freely and often. In fact, here's a stat. Listen to this. In the first quarter alone, Tennessee played 30 defensive players. NC State, the entire game, played 19 defensive players. So I think that is something to remember heading on into the week, and really just kind of showing you how different these two defenses were in week one. Tennessee's got plenty of depth. NC State not playing a whole lot, to be honest. Last thing I want to show you in terms of the stats that matter, coverage grades. Jacoby Thomas had a 77.8% coverage grade. He was targeted once, didn't give up a reception. Jordan Matthews had a 73% coverage grade. He was targeted once, targeted 3 times, gave up 1 reception for 13 yards. Jamal McCoy, 72% coverage grade, targeted 3 times, gave up 2 receptions, but only for 13 yards. Let's see here. Jalen McMurray, targeted twice, gave up 1 reception for 6 yards. He had a 65.2% coverage grade, which was really good. A couple other ones of note, Caleb Beasley, he had a 56% coverage grade. I think there's a lot to learn here on the tape for Caleb Beasley, a true freshman. Gave up 3 receptions on 4 targets for 34 yards. Will Brooks was targeted once, gave up 1 reception for 19 yards, and he was playing way too far off in man-to-man coverage. Boo Carter, a 51.6% coverage grade, gave up 2 receptions on 3 targets for 26 yards. And again, I think what UTC was doing offensively, just trying to get that football out of their hands quickly as possible, keep their quarterback upright, so on and so forth. So those are a look at some of the grades, some of the stats that matter. I'll break down some of those numbers for you each and every week after the game on Tuesday or Wednesday. And of course, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I've got access to this Pro Football Focus database. I think it's very beneficial to look at in terms of snap counts and targets, receptions given up, pass blocking grades, all that type of stuff. But overall, Tennessee had a really, really sharp day against the Mocs, as it should have. Hey, when we come back, we'll get into your mailbag questions, segments 2 and 3, the rest of the show. You everydayers get to take over the show. All that and more coming up next as we continue on here with a Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. All right, Locked On Vols fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up about a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do. That's called the Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step in the shoes of the head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers? From recruiting players to hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. And here's what I really love about the game. You're responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy not only going to determine the success of your football season, but it's going to shape the face and future legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC, it's completely free, has no ads, 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want, when you want. And of course, we got a special offer for you guys here at Locked On Vols. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store, to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk, as it will only get your team off to a better start. Download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com, ultimate-cfb.com, or look it up in the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your legacy today. All right, welcome back in here to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. Mailbag questions, they happen now for you everydayers. Josh on the YouTube channel says, I'm not sure what the record is for most passing yards in a single game, but if Nico stayed in for another quarter, would he have beaten that in your opinion? The overall record for passing yards in a single game for Tennessee was Tyler Bray. He threw for 530 yards against Troy back in 2012. Ironically, or I guess it's not ironically, because obviously if you throw for that many yards, you had a lot in the first half. Nico broke Tyler Bray's first half passing record, and now Nico sits as the program record holder for most passing yards in a single half, 314 yards against Chattanooga, where Bray threw for 313 yards in the first half against Troy. Now, Tennessee needed Bray to play all 4 quarters to win that football game. Tennessee needed to score like 45 points or whatever it was, maybe in the 50s, I can't remember. If Nico would have played one more quarter, I don't think he would have broken 530. I mean, you're talking about 216, 17 more yards in one quarter. So I don't know if that record would have been broken, but ultimately Nico was really, really good. Let's go to Kyle. Do you think our DBs improved? Kyle, I don't have an answer for you, man. Based off one game against Chattanooga, I have no clue. I said this with Brent Hubbs on the Rocky Top Rewind. I didn't learn anything about really this team, to be completely honest, because of the level of the competition. I certainly didn't learn anything about the secondary. Tennessee was not tested over the top. Tennessee was not tested vertically down the field. Grayson McCall is going to test Tennessee in this Dukes Mayo Classic, 100%. Chase Artapias of Chattanooga did not. He only had like one or two true dropbacks, and one he got crushed by Tyree West. So I don't know, to answer your question. We're going to have a good gauge of it this week against NC State, that's for sure. And hopefully, we're gonna learn a whole lot more. All right, let's go to some more of your questions. Let's see here. This is from Will on the YouTube channel. Is it concerning that Nico ended his outing on 2 bad drives? Is it likely that this was just a fluke, or is it possible that he doesn't do well when he gets out of rhythm? I don't know. Again, small sample size, right? This is one game. Tennessee's last couple of drives, if I'm not mistaken, he had a miscommunication with Ethan Davis. Larry Johnson got him killed one time. There was a penalty on a punt return that set him back. And then, of course, that 2-minute drill, they never really got in sync. So I'm not ready to sit here and say after one game against Chattanooga that Nico can't run a 2-minute drill. Nico can't finish. I just think it was a small sample size where he was so sharp to begin. Tennessee's offense really did kind of have a couple of bad series there to end, but I don't think it's anything to look into, to be completely honest. They need to come out and respond against NC State, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's anything to look into. Is Tennessee or NC State wearing home uniforms for the game on Saturday in Charlotte? I don't know yet. They should make an announcement at some point this week. I know that I know that NC State is considered the home team. Tennessee's considered the away team. Another question here from Trent. Do we think NC State's 3-3-5 defense will cause Tennessee some problems? We saw it last year at Missouri, only managed 1 touchdown. Tennessee had a lot of issues that day at Missouri. Offense was atrocious. Tennessee couldn't find any rhythm in the run game, if memory serves me correct. Joe Milton did not have a very good game. Tennessee's offense could not stop Cody Schrader. Tennessee's defense couldn't stop Cody Schrader. 3-3-5 defense, at the end of the day, you got to be multiple. That's what every defense is. Tennessee sees 3-3-5 from time to time because every defense is multiple. If you don't have a 4th man on that line of scrimmage, Tennessee will run the crap out of you. It's going to be a light box. Tennessee will just torch you on the ground. So, sure, they can be a quote-unquote 3-3-5 defense, but there's going to be a 4th man on the line of scrimmage. So it's going to look like a 4-2, 4-2 with kind of what everybody else's defense runs, more so than not. So I don't think that it'll give them a problem, because I think Tennessee's also using a third of the field that it didn't have a season ago, and that being the middle of the field. Let's see. This is from Daryl. Can you guys tell me if the pass rush is going to be better as it pertains to getting sacks, because they didn't have any they had one against UTC? Yeah, I think it was just strategy. I think UTC wasn't giving Tennessee the opportunity to get back there and hit their quarterback, because they need that quarterback. It was a payday for UTC, man. They knew it coming in here. Come in here, get your butt whooped, collect a check, try to get out of there healthy, and continue on with your season, because that's a team that's top 10 ranked in FCS and was a second-round playoff team a season ago. Let's go to Randy. I thought Jake Merklinger coming in looked pretty confident for his first time on the big stage. What did you think about his play? Yeah, I think he finished 4 for 4, 31 yards, had a couple series. Thought he looked good. Jake's coming along. They need him to continue to come along. If something were to, happen where Nico misses some time, I think both Gaston and Jake would play. I thought Jake Merklinger looked pretty good for his first time. He's continued to get better and better. I think the first couple weeks in spring he was lost, and understandably so, right? He should be a high school senior at that point, but I thought he looked good. Bolin family wants to know, where was 27? James Pearce started. Okay, I know a lot of people are saying, where's Pearce? James Pearce started. Okay, he played 10 snaps, and then Rodney Gardner told him that he was not coming back in the second half. Nobody's looking at the UTC film when evaluating his NFL future. Just takes one rolled up ankle, just takes one chop block. It was a smart decision. So James Pearce is fine. I don't think he was too happy about not going back in the game, because he wants to play. But overall, it was a smart move to limit his snaps in a game like this. He's going to make his presence known. That's my prediction, not bold, but that's my prediction against NC State. James Pearce is going to come out in a big way. Last one here for this segment. They went 5 wide a couple of times. Do you think that is some omen of what's to come? More 5 wide sets, whether it's 5 wide receivers or the back split out. They didn't do that a lot with Hendo. I'm excited for these big games coming up. Yeah, Tennessee went quote-unquote 5 wide a couple of times, but it was a running back going out, okay? I think Tennessee put a lot on tape just to give NC State something to prepare for, like the end around with Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy's not going to get another carry this year, right? In my opinion. But they put that out there. They had the running back split out wide. I saw them do that in the spring orange and white game a little bit. They can because they're deep, but again, the tight end is so critical to this offense because of how they want to run the ball. The tight end's going to be on the field almost 99.9% of the time. So they can quote-unquote line up in 5 wide, but it won't be 5 wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that changing, for Josh Huepel's offense here in year 4, even though they've got 5 wide receivers they could put out there. That is for sure. Hey, when we come back, we'll answer some more of your mailbag questions all right here on a Tuesday. Locked On Vols. 5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast. Whether you've had a long list of work to do or the DIY projects to tackle at home, take a 5-Hour Energy shot so you can get everything and mark it off your list. If you're like me, you always have a large list of projects to do at home. When you get the supplies for the project, don't forget the most essential supply, which is a 5-Hour Energy shot. 5-Hour Energy, no sugar, it's convenient, portable size, it's perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. A 5-Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, so much more. It's a flavor for everybody to try. You can try them all today as well. On the website, you can even have the option to build your own 12-pack, build your own 24-pack, a briefcase. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, get some 5-Hour Energy products today. You can use my promo code at LockedOnCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is valid until September 30th on one order, cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and try it for yourself. All right, Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. We are back, and appreciate you guys for being here, making this your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Got a couple more questions to get into. We'll head on over to the Twitter machine. This is from James. I know Tennessee looks good on the field, but how is the shower discipline? He puts in parentheses, I hope you're not too young to remember the great Derek Dooley. First of all, not too young. Second of all, I've never heard a sentence where Derek Dooley and great are side by side. But yes, I remember that infamous quote from Derek Dooley. Can't comment on the shower discipline. But I'm not too young. Overall, I think Tennessee's looking good on the field, and that's where it counts. James, I appreciate the laugh. We'll go to Ross. I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, about an hour and a half south of Raleigh. I go to church with a bunch of NC State fans. One of them was talking smack to me a couple Sundays ago, so I made a bet with them that the loser has to wear the other team's tie at church. Do I have any reasons to be concerned? Ross, I think Tennessee's going to win this football game by 2 scores, and I'm not going to back down on that, so you know where I stand on it. But in terms of being concerned, I mean, on paper, and we talk about this in the VolQuest podcast today, on paper, this is a good NC State team. You upgraded significantly at quarterback in Grayson McCall. Now, it's you need to come up into the level of play in the Power 4, and we'll see exactly how he adjusts as the season goes along. But he was a 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year. He brought in over 10,000 yards passing, nearly 90 touchdowns to NC State over his career at Coastal. He's a good quarterback, so that's an upgrade what they had last year. They went and got a 6-year running back from Duke this offseason. They went and got another guy from Oklahoma State. Neither one of them, I think the guy at Oklahoma, Hollywood Smothers is his name. I think he redshirted a year ago. The Duke transfer hadn't done a whole lot throughout his career, but in that Thursday game, man, they gave it to him a ton. His name is Jordan Waters. 20 attempts, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They've got a great offensive line. They have an NFL caliber left tackle. They brought in a transfer from Notre Dame at center. They brought in Justin Jolly at tight end, and Tennessee fans know all about him. And just for the record, Tennessee stopped recruiting him. He didn't pick NC State over Tennessee, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody, but Tennessee evaluated him, and what they wanted in a tight end, thought Holden Stays and or Jordan Dingle at Kentucky would be a better fit for what they wanted. And they brought both of those guys in on the same time, same weekend, and pretty much said first one's in the boat. Holden Stays committed to Tennessee. Jordan Dingle cut his weekend short, went back to Kentucky, and says he never wanted to leave, which is really hilarious. End of the day, this is a offense that looks pretty good. Now, oh yeah, you've got KC Concepcion, who was the ACC Rookie of the Year last year, and he went off, catching all 3 touchdown passes from McCall in the season opener last Thursday. Offensively, on paper, they're good. Defensively, they lost some. Don't get me wrong, lost a really good linebacker. They bring back a 3-year starter at safety. They bring back an all-ACC corner. They bring back some players up front. So, I guess long story short, is there any reason for concern? Sure, because they've got some good players. And I think as the year goes on, NC State's going to get better as a football team. But this is week 2. I like Tennessee's roster better. I like Tennessee's offense better. I like Tennessee's quarterback better. I like Tennessee's defense better. I like Tennessee's coaches better. And I like Tennessee's fans to travel to a neutral site. So, you know where I stand on that. I'm not backing down. 2 scores. I think Tennessee wins it by. But this is going to be a challenge. I don't want to overlook NC State because I want to give a lot of respect to them. I think that this will end up being a top 25 team and a good team. But I would feel confident about that bet. That's just me. And send pictures of your buddies wearing the NC State, or your buddy wearing the NC State tie. Excuse me, your buddy wearing the Tennessee tie if Tennessee wins, which I expect them to do. A couple more here. Let's go to Greg. Where was linebacker Edwin Spillman? Sounded like he didn't dress. Any idea why? Yeah, he's a bit banged up right now. Got hurt last week. Don't know how long he'll be out. I think it's something minor, but he was unavailable, as was Mike Matthews, as was Braylon Staley. I do think Braylon Staley will be available this weekend. We'll see about Mike Matthews. We'll see about Edwin Spillman. Alex says, thoughts on the Neyland Stadium renovations for the first home game. So I didn't get a chance to go check out the south side concourse, but I know they widened that, which is a brilliant move. New entrance for the students to walk into. I heard the speakers were great. Wi-Fi heard was great. Enhancing the fan experience. That's something Danny White has took top priority since he's been athletic director here. And of course, the renovations aren't all done yet. They'll still have a little bit more to do, but I've heard a lot of positive feedback. I mean, sure, the lines were long. Lines were very long. I know it was super hot. Those are some of the things you just can't quite avoid. I thought it was hilarious. Somebody sent a picture of the sun to Danny White on Twitter, said, Hey, Danny, appreciate all you've been doing. Now let's get this thing moved. And White responded, yeah, we'll have it done by the end of the day. This is not that funny, but I thought it was funny. Overall, I've heard positive reviews. But again, I'm not down in there in the nitty gritty. I'm up there in the luxury press box where I spill coffee all over my laptop because I'm an idiot. Let's go to Michael. Michael asks, is there a possibility or rumors of a highly rated flip on the horizon this year? I mean, as of right now, I haven't heard anything. We'll see. I mean, Tennessee's obviously trying to find another running back. Tennessee offered a Florida commit on the defensive line last week. Tennessee's not done. The bulk of it's done, but Tennessee's not done yet. But in terms of a highly rated flip, I wouldn't say that's happening right now. Let's go to Mark. What do you think are NC State's strengths, weaknesses, and how does that line up against Tennessee's strengths and weaknesses? Quarterback play is a strength for McCall. I think he started slow. He came on as the game went on. Tennessee's weakness right now, because we don't really know what it looks like, it hadn't been tested, is the secondary. So advantage NC State in that regard, right? Tennessee's strength is rush defense. I know that Jordan Waters had a pretty good game against Western Carolina, but I would give advantage to Tennessee. NC State lost some guys in the secondary, lost all of their linebackers, so the defensive backfield is new, even though they have a couple of veterans and an all-ACC corner in Aiden White. I would give advantage to Tennessee. There's a couple of matchups, individual matchups, that I would give the advantage to NC State, but overall, I think Tennessee's offense is going to stretch vertically. I think Tennessee's run game that's going to open up Tennessee's run game, and I think Tennessee's defensive line and front seven is going to make things tough on a pretty good offensive line for NC State, but for Grayson McCall, who took a little while to get going against the Catamounts the other day. Aaron says, not to get ahead of ourselves, but what's the odds of a team having the Heisman Trophy winner and Biletnikoff Award and Doak Walker Award winner in the same year. Not expecting it or even sure it's allowed or possible, but would be awesome. I mean, yeah, it would be awesome. And chances are, if you're the number one offense in the country, you're going to have some of those. So 2022, Tennessee was the number one offense in the country. Hyatt won the Biletnikoff. Hendon Hooker should have been a Heisman finalist. He wasn't. It's a complete joke that Stetson Bennett was there. Anyway, conversation for another day. Conversation we've had several times over the last couple of years. Shout outs all the Georgia fans in the comments. It's true. It's a joke that Stetson Bennett was there. Great story. One of my favorite stories of college football was a joke that he was there. But Hendon Hooker wasn't in New York. And Tennessee wasn't anywhere close in terms of Jalen Wright or Jabari Small for winning the Doak Walker. So I would say it's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely, but it's not impossible. Plus, you don't want to just give all the awards to one team. You want to spread them out a little bit if I'm committees. A couple more here. Let's go to Jared. I know it's only week one, but Nico puts up Heisman-like numbers, but if Nico puts up Heisman-like numbers, but isn't a finalist, will it be from A, lack of media attention? That's not possible. B, losing the big games, or C, being a redshirt freshman and needing to wait his turn. Yeah, wipe C off because Johnny Manziel won the Heisman a couple years ago as a redshirt freshman, so we know that can happen. Lack of media attention, you do put as a disclaimer, like people already pushing Travis Hunter, Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. Hunter's an interesting case. When I think Heisman, now Colorado's got to win some games, don't get me wrong, but like Hunter's incredible. Hunter might be the best football player in the country. What he's doing from a physicality standpoint of playing all those snaps, DB, wide receiver, it's incredible. But Nico is going to have plenty of media attention, so don't get me wrong. But Tennessee does need to win some big ones. Now, LSU was 9-3 last year, and Jane Daniels won the Heisman, so it's not all about record. But I do think Tennessee needs to win some of the big ones. Nico's got to ball out. But, I think that more than anything, Tennessee's offense needs to be top 5 in the country, because if Tennessee's offense is top 5 in the country, Nico's been balling out. Last one goes to James. Again, James Pearce didn't do much, but wasn't that because UTC was trying to run away from him and throw dink and dunk passes? Yeah, a little bit, plus he only played 10 snaps. They rotated heavily. Tennessee was forcing 3 and outs, and James Pearce didn't play in the second half. So James Pearce should return in a monster way this week at NC State. All right. That will do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Can't thank you enough for making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Make Locked On SEC, Locked On College Football your second and third listen here this morning. Josh Ward for Little Award Wednesdays coming up on tomorrow's show. Thank you guys. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors all about this show. It's growing. Let's continue to subscribe and download these episodes. Let's get them in front of more and more Tennessee football fans. This is Locked On Vols.